viewers online.
Welcome. It's been a while we had you in the studio for Melting Point. Yeah.
I'm just a call away anytime you want me.
Yes. Thank you very much for always showing up. All right. So the PDP recently inaugurated 40 new BOT members, described as a move to stabilize and reposition the party. Now, from your assessment, is this renewal symbolic or strategic?
Well, we give it to PDP. You know, some things are just natural when humans or even animals age. A lot tells on it. The ability to do things. You find that in humans, when people grow old, they tend to sometimes do things like babies, and they have to be guided. But it's unfortunate that in the political sphere, such is not supposed to happen, because there is supposed to be an inherent ability for regeneration. As old members, founding members grow old and become weak and do no longer have aspirations, they must have groomed new set of persons who have to emulate them, take over from them, and sustain what is supposed to be a legacy of excellence. Sharon, as far as this country is concerned, the party, one could say, had a true national reflection and also had an agenda, an ideology, happens to be the People's Democratic Party, because it was not formed as a party. It was formed as a group called G34. And it will interest you to know that the most notable figures at that formative stage are not the people some may want to claim or brand as people who are always hungry for power, that they don't know any other thing than grabbing political power just for the essence of having power. Now, you have Dr. Alex Ekweme, who was a Southeasterner, former vice president under Shehu Shagari, 1979. Yes. Now, we had somebody like architect Obong Victor Tar, who, from information available, was a person that even designed the logo, the umbrella of the PDP, and I think possibly the slogan, and others. They were the frontliners, and then it metamorphosed to becoming a political party, not just to grab power, but to replace the military, who citizens really wanted them to be out of the leadership trajectory of Nigeria. And so, plus and minus, because of some very powerful persons, they had to go to prison or back to the house to bring out a man who was not part of the formation of the G34, who, except it was a prophecy that was made to him privately that he would leave prison and become the president, which was something that would have been very remote. He himself wouldn't have believed it. But it happened to Olusegun Obasanjo. He was brought out of prison, and in an attempt for the same crop of persons who frustrated the winner of the 1983 presidential election, talking about Bashorun, Kashimawo, Olawale, Abiola, MK Abiola, they said they need to appease the West. In appeasing the West, the PDP gave their ticket to a Southwesterner, and it was a consensus that the wickedness that was done to Abiola, and call it directly the West, for not have given their son the opportunity to lead after winning the election, the next powerful opposition or party, or call it wasn't opposition as at then, party, gave their own ticket to another Southwesterner, Chibolu Fale. So we had two major contenders from the Southwest, and it was unanimous that the Southwesterner has to emerge, and Obasanjo emerged. However, there has always complained about rigging, but that's not even the issue now. The issue is that Obasanjo won. Going forward, let's fast forward to first term, second term, and the attempt of Obasanjo looking for third term, and Atiku Abubakar, who had won as a governor of Adamawa State. He was asked to come and deputize because he was of the structure of a man called Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, who was one of the most powerful politicians in the North. You know, he was a member of that bloc called People's Democratic Movement. I had a stint in the movement because in Uyo Federal Constituency, I was the spokesperson of the movement for Uyo Federal Constituency. So Atiku became the vice president. Another person, I think his deputy, became the governor of Adamawa State. One thing led to another. After the first term, second term, the battle was so fierce, they fell apart, and then PDP had issues because a number of governors were in support of Atiku succeeding Obasanjo. They were not comfortable, and they went to the polls during the nomination. And the kind of conduct that took place was such that, from what we heard from the grapevine, any governor that voted and states as they voted in the nomination for the candidate for the second term of Obasanjo in the PDP were marked. And after the nomination, some of those governors that voted against Obasanjo and actually voted for another person were singled out to be dealt with. And some of them were actually dealt with. And some of them even moved to another party, created another party, like Ojus Okalu. Ojus Okalu formed a political party. Yes. Damisia was in trouble. You go to Plateau State, Joshua Darie was in trouble. You come to Akwa Ibom, Obon Victor Ta, who was very, very clear about his position. I think that was the first time I saw our father wore jeans. I think he wore jeans on that night to go and vote. He was looking very combative, and so he survived the Obasanjo hurricane. Obasanjo himself finally tore the membership card of PDP. Fast forward to Jonathan, who emerged as president. Eventually, after mismanaging the success, I call it mismanagement because if Jonathan was strong on issues, President Buhari would have found it very difficult to be cleared by INEC. He would have found it very difficult or even impossible because you cannot clear somebody who could not provide the list of the paper qualification that is required. But trust how things are in the country. People took advantage, and by the time he finished, he could not provide the leadership for PDP to be sustained as a party that has produced two former presidents, several Senate presidents, several governors. At the point, I think 2007, they had as many as almost 28 to 30 governors in the country. They swept the entire Southwest. So what happened to PDP? What happened to PDP was that people we just discovered were too selfish. Only very few of them, like Abomota, that were selfless. Even as a PDP life trustee, he had to fight. He had to fight the sitting president to get the right for Akwa Ibom people, which is something you don't find now. You don't find now where that no scrub of governors, like Chris Ekpenyong, former deputy governor, former senator said the other day, say we have the weak crop of governors in Nigeria now. Even 2 days ago, at the book launch of Sule Lamido, Amechi said openly on the mic that he talked with Lamido and told Lamido, during our tenure as governors, what is going on in the country now under President Tinubu, would we have allowed it to continue? And he said no. And he said it openly, that it won't happen. Because they have the capacity to bring their voice to the table and said, this is illegal. This is unconstitutional. In as much as they overdid it along the line, during Jonathan's time, is one of those things, yes. But we don't have the crop of governors who are there to defend either both the Constitution and the people. Why? Because there is an aura, very gigantic giant, some there, that's the image you have seen from a distance, I don't want to get close to it. They say you have to do obeisance if you must survive. So people, without even seeing the image, without even knowing what the figure is, they start crawling, prostrating, lifting up their hands and surrendering and all that. So that is what has befallen the PDP, that their former leaders, from the president to some Senate presidents who emerged, they refused to give PDP leadership. They had their errors, yes, but they do so bad that compared to the opposition, those that used to call themselves progressives, giving hope to the hopeless, that there's an alternative party on the sideline that is ready to give a better leadership than a PDP. They emerged in the scene, but majorly through propaganda, and the propaganda had to sustain everything to the point that it has gotten now where it is just obvious, like former information minister used to say, that Nigeria, he himself said it. It wasn't in the opposition that coined. They said Nigeria is not in a one-chance boss. So don't say APC is a one-chance boss. He's the one that said it. He's the one that countered it, because the role swap between PDP as a leading ruling party and the APC, which was a conglomeration of other opposition small parties, AC, ACN, CPC, ANPP, and the new PDP, which is still part of the crisis, the greatest undoing of PDP, was the emergence of new PDP, who left the convention grounds to go and form alliance, and with just one single stroke, they gave the opposition party a swap. And that role swap has affected democracy adversely, because no other party, no other set of people could play the opposition role like the one that was led by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Generally in the southwest, generally, and in the north by Buhari, former President Buhari. But in all, the most formidable opposition leader has been the man called Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because he has both the media, he has the men on ground, they have the courage, they are not timid, they don't fear anything. In fact, fear even fears them enough that role swap has brought us to this precipice. And what is supposed to be the fallout, the solution to it? Because there is no question without an answer. The solution will have been PDP reinventing itself to be able to get power back from Buhari that they made to win because of their coalition. They tricked themselves. They committed suicide in 2023. When against their own constitution, when against even the decision of the both opposition governors, APC and PDP governors all agreed that power must shift to the south. But some very selfish, I don't know what to describe such human beings, including the one that hosted the meeting. At least the meeting was hosted in the Asaba Declaration. The next one was held in Lagos, and it was just a walkover. We are going to have a Southerner as president. It doesn't matter who that would be. After all, we had the two major people who emerged. There were others, but the two major people were one. Peter Obi, who was frightened or chased out of PDP, and he went and picked the Labour Party ticket. Labour Party was nowhere in the radar, but because they needed to take up what they now call vehicle, the obedient movement, which was something that has never happened in the history of this country. Never happened. I've lived for a while by the grace of God. Now, the next was Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who, by even abstaining from debate, had shown that it is dangerous to give power. Even by the statements made by his aides, even by the state of health during campaigns, it was obvious. That's why you saw the video that they were singing. Baba we know well. They shouted Milokon. People made mockery of him. I did not make mockery of him because I know who Tinubu is. I'm a Lagos breed person. I had part of my primary and secondary schools in Lagos. and I've been a conscious soul for a long time by the grace of God. And I said, people have to be careful. It's not just enough. You see this man doing as if he's doing skit. He means whatever moves he makes, and he does not care who you are. What he wants, he has to get it, and for you to stop him, you must do much more than him. And the rest is history. Because of what? PDP refused to adhere to their constitution. And some, should I call them wicked or very two self-centered human beings decided to go and say, a northerner has got to replace a northerner. We don't care. Zoning is in party. It's not in the country. And I just looked at them and said, thank God you have showed the world who you are. This very seed you have grown, you will sit. Some of you will stay back to harvest and eat it. And that is what has happened. They denied the sad opportunity to produce a president, presidential candidate. And by this time, who was the leading figure in the PDP? It was Wike, a governor. Or like some would call it, like now we will have said, a common governor. He led PDP, funded PDP. However he did it, posterity will reveal some things. How he managed to fund PDP. How he managed to be able to change chairman at will just to be sure that the party, the direction, when it gets to the time of the South, they will have that slot. And somebody came from Dubai. And some persons that were here. One of them was sponsored by Wike or funded majorly by Wike when he also aspired to be president. Talking about Tambuwal, which what Wike has said. It's in public domain. And when the chance was there for him to reciprocate the kind gesture of Wike, Tambuwal, after they have done their manifesto presentations, and they saw that Wike was too much on ground, they granted him a second slot to come back and speak at the convention. Something that should never have happened. And he said, I have withdrawn. My supporters, vote for Atiku Abubakar. And by the time they finished, with the national chairman who had agreed that if the presidential ticket goes to the north, he will relinquish. Atiku, who bought the ticket even before the party did the official announcement of zoning, which was just obvious. What are we talking about? The PDP committed suicide. And what is to happen is that it must be a magic. It's going to be magical for them to be able to reinvent themselves. And that, is that possible? Yes.
Okay.
It's very well possible that they can pull a surprise, and that is left, the story is left to be told.
Okay, you mentioned that, and I want to know if the BOT is capable of it, especially considering the perception that PDP has strayed from its founding principles. Would you say that the BOT that has been inaugurated can realign the PDP's moral compass?
It's not about the BOT. BOT is just the conscience of the party. The party must have a face. That's the reality. Nigeria has not matured to the point where people like Governor Dr. Moino said, he said there's no ideological difference between APC and PDP. There's no ideological differences. And that by itself, I hope to address that matter someday, is an indictment on even the present administration at the center. Why? Because we used to know the opposition as progressives. But what is playing out, does it have anything to show for the progressive nature? Even their governors forum is called Progressive Governors Forum. Is there anything progressive there? No. So, Dr. Moino has said something that should challenge our political leaders. That APC, PDP, no ideology. They are just vehicles. So if this vehicle breaks down, board the other one and go to your destination. It's an immortal indictment. So if you have parties that don't have ideologies, or indeed they have ideologies, some have not been able to define their ideologies, you now discover that the confusion is beyond measure. So it's not just about the BOT. Yes, they have a BOT chairman, Adolphus Wabara.
Yeah.
You ask me, does APC have a BOT chairman? APC has no BOT. They can't even hold their meetings. National Working Committee, National Executive Council meeting, they have not been holding because they can't withstand it. APC is a coalition of interest groups. And those interest groups are to be assuaged one after the other. As we speak, they have broken, they are in fragments. The CPC bloc are divided because they took their turn under Buhari, who was their representative as president. The ACN bloc is taking their turn under Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The ANPP bloc, we've even forgotten who were the people there. The new PDP bloc, they have been moving up and down because even the PDP members that are now taking authorities in APC were never even in the new PDP bloc. So, you can say, talking about even having structures, PDP is better than APC. APC is the giants now because of the personality, the cult-like personality of Mr. President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And that is winning. Winning, why? Because Northerners, the most vocal of them, including the socio-cultural groups, have made a statement that they are no longer supporting him, that they have regretted supporting him. They are going to make an announcement in the next 6 months on who they will support and all of that. That is neither here nor there. What is important is, what is the alternative to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Is it a Northerner? Or like Dele Momodu said, Dele Momodu, who is very vocal, he's a Westerner, Southwesterner, said that only a Northerner can defeat Tinubu. And anybody that is patriotic and wants the peace and progress of this country should not buy into such a statement. Why? Because the second term in the slot for the South has to be completed. I am a pro-zoning or rotation person. I was almost killed for it when I brought it to bear. I was the catalyst that championed that in my local government in Seletai, and the story is there. And the stories will be read even after I'm long gone, by the grace of God, because it's in a document and it will further be captured in other documents. So, in the country, you cannot run a federation like a unitary state. Since politicians, including those that we call even some of the brightest minds, apart from Oba Ota, who has been very vocal on the practice of federalism, we can never run the country on the basis that, yes, then the best person emerge. Who has been the best person? Who? Buhari, that was seen to have been an anti-corruption Caesar. By the time he was given the mantle, we started seeing what we never saw. And so what are we looking at? We are looking at the various sections of the country having opportunity to produce people, to give them a sense of belonging, and in doing that, in 2027, it's important we take some things as they come. What has Atiku said? Because you need to look at the characters that are giving PDP issues. And then I will come to the meeting of the former governors where you have talked about the expansion of the BOT and all of that. Yeah. The main character in the PDP, who is supposed to be the face of the PDP, is supposed to be the highest ranked person in the party who is active and having aspiration. That's Atiku Abubakar. But what has been his role? He has been one of the greatest problems for the party, despite his wealth of knowledge and capacity. I respect Atiku sincerely, but he has made blunders at very delicate moments. It was one of the reasons that made me to even resign from partisan politics to start Open Forum as a magazine, because I couldn't imagine somebody who left to form an alternative platform, abandoning it, trying to go back to his former party. His then governor, I think Murtala Nyako, refused to admit him. He could not be registered in his ward when he left AC to go back to PDP. He was registered in Wadata Plaza, the PDP headquarters. And he came back to PDP. And what has been happening? He gets ticket, but that ticket does not translate to anything for him. Now, 2023, we talked about that. He heard what you know what he did. You saw what he did. But ahead of the 2027, this is what he has said. He said, I will continue contesting the presidency. That's just 23rd May of 2024. You can Google, it's online. Punch reported it, number of newspapers reported it.
I know he said that, right?
Yes.
But then a few months after that, he did mention that he is not sure if he's still going to run for presidency or not in 2020.
You don't take that word. What you take is the one that it was very elaborate and which there was a response. Let me just take it verbatim because it will help our listeners to know the direction. He says, of course, I will keep contesting again and again, as long as I am alive and healthy. And this was on Voice of America, Hausa Service. And I have said repeatedly, and even said it before the 2023 general elections, that if the PDP decides to zone the presidential ticket to the south or southeast, specifically, I won't contest it. As long as it is the decision of the party, I will abide by it. But I contested the 2023 presidential ticket because it was thrown open to all members of the party. That is not true because he did not wait or even honor what he's supposed to have been the leader to be sure that that thing was zoned properly. If the party decides it's the turn of Southeast specifically, I won't contest it. As long as it is the decision of the party, I will abide by it. But I contested the presidential election ticket because it was thrown open. If the party decides that it's the turn of the Southeast and Peter Obi is chosen, I won't hesitate to support him. Have you heard that? Now, Peter Obi responded because they met. By the time Peter Obi responded over the coalition, which they are working on, he responded through his the chief spokesperson of the Obidati media group and the Labour Party on channels, Yunusa Tanko. He said, I am only interested in alliance that makes Nigeria work, not power-seeking measure. And he went on to say that he is not interested in a coalition or measure because, like Fahimi said, APC was a power-grabbing machine. So they did everything, said some things that were not true, openly said so. You Google, you can find that out, just to get power. Unfortunately, after getting power, they don't know what to do with the power. So Obi has distanced himself from the measure, which is just for power-grabbing, except it is to make Nigeria work. So, our man Atiku had to clear the air that he will keep contesting because it is something he would do as long as it's healthy. And that was also to give the media the clear view that he's still in the race. But his close person, Dele Momodu, like I've said that only a northerner can stop Tinubu. So what are we looking at? If a party that came second in an election, no matter how the result was computed anyway, cannot play the role of the opposition, and they have been a colossal failure when it comes to playing opposition. That is why APC, I've been saying it, is playing double role. They are the ruling party and the opposition party at the same time, and that is to the glory of God, because otherwise it will be worse than whatever we are seeing. Now, if a party does not have a candidate or does not know the face of who they will lie behind 2 years or less than 2 years to election, is that a serious party? No. If certain persons are still glamoring that despite the lesson of 2023, they can say, no, let the North take back power. Even the North, some of them have said, you throw up Obi, we will support him. Some they want to say it here because it's very tactical. They have to negotiate. They are not like our people who are supposed to have the capacity to use what they have, what we have to negotiate. They now go begging. You don't beg people that have capacity to rubbish you when they have the opportunity. They won't care. So, it is unfortunate that Atiku is still standing, showing his face as a possible candidate. That will be their worst undoing. Peter Obi that they are talking about is not even in PDP. He's in Labour Party. And Labour Party here had been infiltrated far back. And Labour Party was just like it said, parties are vehicles. The obedient movement being the greatest political movement in the history of the country in modern times cannot run and may never be able to register as a party to be able to run for Obi to have a party that he truly can control. Because most parties are owned by people in the ruling party and other parties who, even during their creation, they were the one that even created it as alternatives and for whatever other purpose. So that very meeting of the Governors Forum and former governors, I'm not Governors Forum, that's PDP meeting of governors, serving governors, former governors, and all this and that took place. I want to tell you that whatever they did there, it is one thing that has stood out for me. That Wike attended that meeting. It was on Sunday. What date was Sunday now?
I think 11.
Okay. Wike attended that meeting, and Wike has been seen and branded to be the problem of PDP, but PDP has never been able to disengage him, suspend him, or do whatever, or lock him out of the meeting. But guess what? He granted press media interview on Monday, that was the 12th, and what he said, the things he said, are more fundamental than virtually everything that took place.
That was where I actually wanted to come to.
During the meeting, yeah.
He openly warned that PDP risks another electoral defeat in 2027 if zoning isn't respected. Now, some people have criticized what he said, while some others have given him a thumbs up. Some people have said that it's just veiled personal interest that made him say what he's saying. Some others are saying it's a genuine concern for party unity. What side are you seeing that statement from?
The statement I've said before you even asked me that the most profound direction, statements on the way forward for PDP was raised by the man that they see as their nightmare. And they deserve to enjoy that nightmare because they turned Wike to, maybe in quote, the monster that is tormenting them. Yes. So they deserve it. But yet still, he's the one still giving them the way forward. And what's the fundamental thing that he said? He said that there is no way they will produce a governor or a candidate from the north and win. And if by now they don't have that, okay, let me just I like being precise because we are communicating, and as analysts we must give some persons fact they can go to take to the bank. This is what Wike said. That is one tearing the party apart. Aside from there, he said, "No, I'm building it. Why are some people leaving? Their fear is I don't know who will sign our documents." That brings us to the issue of the National Secretary, which I will address, because the Constitution says the correspondence of INEC must be signed by the National Chairman or Secretary. Now you are having a quagmire on who will be the National Secretary. Let me leave that. On the NEC meeting, he also spoke about who will sign the, what do you call it, the invitation and all of that. But the most important thing he said was to the effect that who will fly your flag from where? You want to bring a northerner, you will never be able to succeed. That was what gave them their failure in 2023. So if that is not a free brain transplant for PDP leaders to come out clearly, despite the fact that there is serious division where some governors have said they don't want merger, they don't want coalition, they want to remain as PDP, which in itself is an indication that some persons must or may have been bought over to destroy the party. Why? Any political party must look for how to either bring others together or merge to become another bloc. The opposition elements in the country would never have been anywhere close to clinching power, but for doing what they were doing, when the PDP was laughing at them, they thought it was a joke. And I knew that PDP would be in trouble, coupled with the fact that even the then president did not have the political think tank that he required. And he allowed himself and the country to be put in the mess that has led us to today. So, give it to Wike. He built the structure of the PDP. They currently have an acting chairman who was part of the product of Wike when he brought Iyorchia Ayu, who refused to resign as national chairman after they not got the ticket, and they received water. He also has the national secretary in Anyanwu. Follow me carefully. Are you aware that Anyanwu resigned as the national secretary to contest for the governorship ticket of PDP in Imo State, where he hails from, and that he won the ticket? After losing the election, he now went back to the party to resume his position, which is not in line with how parties are run. And PDP had gotten Ude Okoye to take his position, and the matter went to court. The last I saw about yesterday was that even the workers, the entire workers at the National Secretariat of PDP now did a press statement that they, as critical stakeholders in the PDP, that the problem arising from who will be signing documents, that there's no question about it.
Okay.
That Anyanwu had resigned, and the PDP, even by the judgment that was given, according to that, is the party that decides how they run their affairs. They had brought Okoye. Now that Okoye is going to be a challenge, they now said the assistant secretary should be signing the document. So the workers in PDP, from what we've seen, if it's true that press statement is from them, or that, yes, they are aligning with the party who are making the assistant secretary to act until they appoint another secretary. But then the Southeast, let me say this very important because you raised it.
Southeast PDP. I wanted us to come to that.
Yes.
We want to open the phone lines now because we just have 15 minutes left.
Wow.
All right. So let's open the phone lines now for you to call in and contribute to the conversation. 0803 085 7755 0803 085 7755 or 0809 066 6909 0809 066 6909. The WhatsApp number is 0809 066 6909. We have a fast call here. Hello, good morning. Good morning, Isaac. Wow. It's been a very long time. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Thank you so much.
God bless you. I always anytime you always start of you. Nothing but the truth. Nothing but the truth.
I thank you. Amen.
Yes.
And you too.
My thought this morning is the issue of PDP. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you.
There's no way that PDP can tap our idea in this country. Because Atiku is the one that fought Atiku is the one that fought PDP. Because of self-interest, because of long-term. I'm very proud to say that power must come to SAR 2003. But look at the one that will break from propaganda to get power. I want to say that there's no way you can take power again. There's no way in this country. Then the PDP measure they put their house in order before any other thing. Look at what happened in the state. How many citizens of this PDP go to this? What happened? I don't think the PDP they destroy their house. There's no way to take power again in this country. Thank you for having me this morning.
Thank you very much, Isaac. Thank you. Lovely to hear from you once again. Okay, so keep the calls coming in 0803 085 7755 or 0809 066 6909. Our WhatsApp number is 0809 066 6909. All right, so while we wait for the call, citizen.
Yes.
The Southeast PDP caucus is threatening mass defection over the refusal to ratify Sunday Ode Okoye as national secretary. Now, from your perspective, would you say that this is justifiable or is just merely a political blackmail?
No, it is not a political blackmail. I would have rated them very low, like some people have naturally made themselves to be very empty vessels. When people to speak up, they say they keep quiet because they are afraid. Southeast, it is their turn. It is their position zoned to them, and whatever replacement.
Sorry,
Yes.
just hold that thought. We have a call.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, MKO. I'm just calling from you.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I take this morning about all this drama in the PDP that from the start is personal selfish interest until again will continue to be a selfish personal interest. They don't think of other interests of Nigerians. They think of themselves. How can Nigeria who has been out to go and contest for election, you fail, and you come back to still take that same position?
Same office.
It is wrong. So they are the people who spoil the PDP. Atiku being the principal of it. So when they talk about wicked, say wicked this, wicked that, from the start, wicked stand for the truth, and that was the truth of the matter. How can the northern area finish 8 years, and you still came out from the central to contest? Even though with that, the man has even just said, okay, this is where the presidential ticket will come from the north. Let the secretary or the chairman.
The chairman, come to the south.
And yet still, you people did not still agree with it. You carried everything. What did you expect? All this was a personal interest, selfish interest. So I don't see PDP coming out of this. We are counting almost known now. I don't see PDP even having a candidate to be finished in 2027. So it's very unfortunate.
Absolutely.
These are the policies that we are forced depending on what we are facing in this APC government. It's very sad, it's very unfortunate to be asking. Thank you for answering this one.
All right. Thank you. We have another one. Hello. Good morning. Good morning and welcome.
And good morning to MK, my friend, my brother.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, this is Joseph Daniel. I'm very from Shelton Street.
All right. Talk to us, Joseph.
Yes, you see, one thing, one mistake the Northerners made. They were thinking, when they massively supported Tinubu to assume power, they were thinking what happened to Yar'Adua for Jonathan to take over will also be the thing that will happen to Tinubu so that Shetima Kazen will take over. 2 years down the line, almost, it has not happened. Because their thinking was that Yar'Adua, I saw in Tinubu, because of his health, will not last long. And for the assumption in the north that Kashim Shetima will become president just like Jonathan. Now that has failed. And now that has failed, there's confusion in the north. And Tinubu is so smart that he's now using the technique of divide and rule. He knows the schism within the north. That the north, they are not as united as we in the south think. And he's exploiting that. That is why you have that confusion in the north as of today. Unfortunately for us in the south, we don't know that we are powerful. Because we have been selfish in our political ambition. Check what Udo Emmanuel did. Despite their won in Lagos and in Asaba. He went back on his word to support Atiku. He was even the presidential candidate, the presidential chairman, the chairman of presidential campaign committee.
That's right.
But that is the problem we have. We in the South, we don't know that we are powerful. And the Lord, they know that we don't know that we are powerful. The resources in this country are our hands. Only that they exploit us so that we are not united. Tinubu is very smart. He knows that. Yes, of wicked, he is very smart. He knows that. And that is why there's confusion in North today. And Kashim Shetima is not happy about it. The killings in the North, I don't want to say something on there. It's not ordinary. Particularly in Benue, where the SSG, the federal secretary to the federal government is from. It is not ordinary. Even the one in Plateau State.
All right. Thank you very much, Joseph.
Okay,
We have to
let me
go.
not rest my case because there are some things I cannot hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Citizen,
Yes.
you've heard all the takes, and I also interrupted you when you were talking.
Brilliant
So I wanted to-
from whatever angle, no, that quality time with very brilliant contributors. I don't have much to add than to confirm and to say that even like the last caller, he knows more than what he has said, and some of us know it, and that is why, as we speak, Sharon, Are you aware that Northern Borno State APC leadership had a meeting, and they resolved? They said Tinubu must continue running with Chetima. No attempts to drop him. And then the political advisor to President Tinubu, attached to the office of the vice president, resigned. Ahmed. He resigned and made a very strong statement. And the statement is so pregnant, having to do with the fact that North would not support Tinubu for second term, and in 6 months' time they're going to announce who they will support. Why? Because what they know and what some of them had believed would happen because of the skit or the song that was made, Babawe Nowhere, the Shatemilokon. So it is very delicate. I said earlier, and Joseph Daniel has confirmed, we in the South, we are supposed to be, approached and begged, and people should be giving us gifts, as in projects. We don't even have to go be begging, oh, come and do this, because when you do it, we are going to support you to do it. No! We have what they need, but we don't know it. We now become beggarly. It is not our nature. That is why I have been saying, and I will say the rest of my life, thank God that Obongata laid the foundation for the modern Akwa Ibom. We will have been in trouble. He fought. He had to swim against the tide. Not once, not twice. Even as an 80-something that the man is, he is still swimming against the tide. Because it's only dead fishes that follow the tide. In Nigerian politics, you must know the people. If you don't know them, you will go and follow your enemy, and before you know it, you will now say, how did we get here? Or what happened to me? I didn't have advisors. Truly, a number of our leaders don't have think tanks, and which I keep recommending. They need critical people that don't need to be heard. They are people that think for a living. And some of us do that. We don't even want appointments, but we can help our leaders like we are doing right now. So, Atiku, if he does not make a pronouncement that he is no longer contesting and they have resolved, they are bringing the Labour Party, they are bringing this other party, and he's willing to support the man he has named, because we must be honest with ourselves, right. Sharon. Even if I asked you now, who named the 3 contenders to 2027 elections, that citizens themselves, who the politicians have written off? The vote of citizens that is not in consideration, the feelings of citizens are not in consideration, and even the God factor is not in consideration. If I asked you, name the 3 people that we should be looking at to be on the ballot, I'm sure you will name Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
You don't know that.
I'm sure you will name possibly Atiku from the north. I'm sure you will name Peter Obi. Among these 3, 2 are from the south. So if south is to complete that tenure, the best bet will be any 2 parties. Right. Be sure you have this and that. But then, the way the votes of PDP and Labour Party were divided because of the selfishness of some persons who may likely receive their punishment before the last days. If the vote of Atiku and Obi put together far exceeds the small vote that was allotted to president to become president, the least that ever happened in history of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, citizen. I was actually waiting for you to land show you on the Southeast PDP caucus, but
no, I can say that in 10 seconds.
Okay.
It is their entitlement. If they had kept quiet and not say it, it will be against them. So whatever PDP will have to do, they will have to give that slot to the Southeasterner. The same with the national chairman. It's an acting chairman. That's not the zone. They have to have a full-fledged chairman, a full-fledged secretary, and it's not impossible for PDP to come back because of our people. People will be voting voting individuals in different parties. It has started. That's why we'll be one where even the former president, the current president was Obi won because they voted Obi, not Labour Party or not whatever.
Thank you very much, yes. Citizen. That's where we'll leave the conversation today on the melting point. The PDP is clearly standing at a critical juncture, one where the decisions made now will either heal old wounds or deepen the cracks threatening its foundation. Now, from the reconstitution of the Board of Trustees to Wike's blunt warning and the looming threat of defection from the Southeast Caucus, it's evident that the PDP must decide unity or disintegration, renewal or ruin. As Nigerians, we have a stake in how our political parties function, not just for party loyalists, but for the sake of our democracy, because a weakened opposition is a danger to accountability, and unchecked internal party politics can ripple into national instability. Once again, a big thank you to Citizen Matthew Kofi Okono for sharing such rich insights, and to you, our listener, for tuning in and contributing to the conversation. Let's continue the conversation online on our Facebook page, Memories 965 FM. My name is Sharon Mando. Before I go, I'd just like to say a very big happy birthday to the Human Resource Manager of Great Memories Media, Evangelist Gabriel Isong. Happy birthday. May all your wishes come true, and God continue to bless you. All right. So
happy birthday to him.
Thank you very much. And that has been the melting point where perspectives clash, but clarity always wins. Until next time on Monday, same time, 10 a.m. Stay engaged and stay informed.